Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So running to the Father, coming back to God. We've come this morning to be present with God, to be in His expression. And I hope you all had a good week this week. We're finding God in different ways. But it's important for the rest of this world also. I've just really been moved by this idea of how can we express God to others? How can we give hope? Because I look around and I see so many people that need hope and just can't find it, can't make it on their own, are trying to figure out how life should work, but feel broken. And one thing I was really moved by is the idea of absolute love. Right? Absolute love of God is the motivation for each one of us to transform our lives, to change our lives, to be able to take advice from others. When we give absolute love, we can help heal others' hearts. And so this morning, we want to continue on this series of hats as we come up to Easter Sunday, as we're thinking about all God's work and how God has been working, has shown up, and then even when we didn't quite get the message, He continued to work, and He showed up again and again and again, and He keeps showing up in our lives. And right now, God is working. God is alive. God is present. God is opening doorways. God is giving opportunity for people to step into that relationship so that we can have new hope. And I know this nation needs it right now. And this nation kind of leads the world. You know, whether we like it or not, some people don't like that, but I mean, America leads the world in so many ways. And so when our nation is divided, how can we have hope for the rest of the world? We need to really support our communities, our neighborhoods, our families, to come back to God. And last Sunday we talked about hatching or breaking out of our shells, coming back alive. What would it look like if we didn't live in our shells but lived into the new life that God is calling us to, right? Out of the old wineskin into the new, being ready to receive and to grow and develop. And this week we want to continue on with the shepherd about why we need the Messiah. Why is it important to have a Messiah in our life? Why does humanity need a reconnector, someone that can realign us? Why do we need religion to realign us, right? Why is this stuff important? Why can't we just go life on our own and figure it out and let it be and live and let live? Why can't this just be the process? And I think a lot of people have that in their mind, right? They want my truth to be enough, right? I'm living my truth, you live your truth, and you live your truth. And shouldn't that be enough? And there is a sense, right? We want to give everybody opportunity to be free, to be liberated. But there's a way that we have freedom. There's a way that we have liberation that really is true freedom. And then there's a false and imitation of it that we want to design by ourselves. And so today we're looking at that. Why do we need a Messiah? Why do we need this guide in the first place? So imagine you were a chicken. Just imagine for a second you were a chicken and you just cracked out of your shell and you looked around for mama chicken or papa chicken, the hen or the rooster, and you said, I want to be a chicken. You know, I just hatched out of the shell. How can I be a chicken? And so you look around and you don't see any other chickens, anyone that looks like you. So you walk around the farm and you start looking around. Hey, how can I be a chicken? You ask the cow. You say, hey, cow, how can I be a chicken? I want to walk like a chicken. I want to talk like a chicken. And the cow turns to you and says, moo. Well, it doesn't really help you, right? Oh, I don't have an idea of how to be a chicken. So you keep walking around and then you find a pig. And you say, hey, pig, how do I be a chicken? How can I do this? And he says, oink. And you still have no idea how to be a chicken. This is a lot like humanity. Humanity has lost its parent, its heavenly parent. Humanity, many of us are so distant from God that we don't know how we ought to live. We don't know our parent, so we don't know what a child of God is supposed to look like, what a human being is supposed to do and act and feel like. And so we make up ideas in our head of how it ought to look like, but they don't always reflect the true nature, the true potential that God planted in our hearts. Even for us, right, many times in our own lives, we have this disconnect. I've been close to God at some points, and I feel like, oh, I'm doing everything right. And then I get upset, or I get hurt, or I get lost, or I'm just overwhelmed or stressed out, and I disconnect from God, and I start living my life and figuring it out, and things don't seem to line up. So we need to connect with our Creator, our Originator, our Heavenly Parent, in order to know how we ought to live. This is why God sent the Messiah. This is the only reason God sent the Messiah, to teach us how to be ourselves, how to be sons and daughters of God, how we can inherit our proper inheritance, right? Our rightful name, our rightful characteristic of being sons and daughters of God. We've been walking around, we've been living a false life, a shadow of what we could possibly be. And so God sends the Messiah. This is how life should be. This is what you could do. This is what love could look like. This is what your family could look like. It plants that seed in our mind. I was thinking this morning about how Mother Moon goes around the world and she speaks about a world of peace. And I was thinking about it. Who else is talking about world peace? I mean, some people say, oh, can we have some kind of economic equality, or can we have, remove poverty, and maybe we can make some steps in that direction. And then many religious leaders say, well, world peace is not really something that can happen. It's after, right? We can have peace after life. But she goes around and she said, no, we can have world peace here on earth. And I'm really amazed by that. It seems simple, but then I thought, hey, nobody else is bringing up this idea that we could actually solve the problems of the family, solve the problems of society, solve the problems. We don't have to just say, well, I guess this is as good as it can get. No, we can achieve more. And so the Messiah comes to open up the door, the pathway to achieve more. God has always wanted to be the parent, the one to guide us, to direct us, to give us a pathway into everlasting life. God has always wanted to reach down and say, hey, you're my son in whom I'm well pleased. Hey, you're my daughter who I've been waiting for my whole life to meet. And God wants to do that. God wants to be present in your morning. When you wake up in the morning, you roll out of bed, and God says, oh, there's my sunshine. I've been waiting for you. What are we going to do today? I'm so excited. What are you thinking about? What do you want to do? What do you want to say? God wants to have that relationship, and he's waiting for us to recognize that we can have this relationship. So it's kind of like, I was thinking about it. I have an idea of what a car looks like, right? I have an idea of how it runs a little bit, but I don't really know what to do. So imagine I wanted to build a car from scratch. I go, okay, well, I have an idea of what a car looks like, and I know that you're supposed to have 4 wheels on a car, and I know that you're supposed to have axles, and I know that you're supposed to have, some windows and doors. But if I started building a car, I would start to realize how little I knew about a car, right? I go, oh, I had an idea about a car, but now I'm realizing I don't know anything about a car, right? I don't know anything about how to make all this work together. So I would need to come to a mechanic. I'd need to come to someone that's built a car before, that understands a car, that knows how the engine works together with the gas and the oil and all the different things, right? I'd need to connect with someone that understands the processes that have to take place for a car to run. Otherwise, I might get something that kind of resembles, that looks externally like a car, but it doesn't take me anywhere, which is the purpose of a car, right? So I need to come back to the designers, the creators, the ones that understand the inner workings. And when we look at a human being, we're much more complicated than any car, right? I have an idea of what a human being is supposed to look like. I've seen them. I see them all around right here. I've seen relationships. I've got an idea of how they kind of conform and work, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of hit or miss because I'm looking at different models and I don't really understand always the inner workings. I can't see into everybody's heart. But imagine I'm trying to create myself to be the best person I can be, the true son of God. I think about it. I try and, if I just do this, if I take a little of his characteristics, a little of her, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, if I study this, maybe I can fix this. Maybe I can stop hurting others. Maybe I can start speaking wisdom into others' lives. Maybe I can have that energy and that drive that I've always craved. Maybe I can unlock my creativity. Maybe I can follow through more with the things in my heart. But it's very complicated, right? The human being, the relationships that we engage in. I mean, if I was just isolated on my own, maybe I could make it work. But now I've got to throw in all these people that I'm dealing with every day, and I need something to guide me. I realize in trying to do self-help, self-improvement, that I can't just sit down with a piece of paper and write some ideas down and then I'm like that, right? I've got to have a greater vision for my life. And so we need a guide. Someone that's been there, done that. Someone that's experienced God and experienced relationships, experienced true love. And can teach us. Can model it. Can say, this is how you live. This is how you forgive. This is how you create a relationship. This is how you repair a relationship. This is how you speak into other people's lives. This is how you get things done in life. And when you have this guide in your life, suddenly the things that you're trying to do start to make sense. You start putting into place. Suddenly you start realizing I was trying to add on features that were unnecessary for my life. I was trying to work on this characteristic that maybe worked for someone else but had nothing to do with me. I was investing so much time and energy beating myself up for not looking like them or not being like them, but I didn't realize the plan that God had for my own life. So we need a Messiah to guide us, to teach us, to talk to us. How does this all work? How does this move forward? How does it go? How does a relationship happen? How can I love myself and love others? How can I be the person that God has called me to be? I need a guide. I need someone to direct me. You see, a long time ago, we had this relationship with God that was just like he was sitting next to us, right? I got confused. I might say, hey, what should I eat today? And I could turn and go, God, what do you think I should eat? And he'd go, well, there's that pear tree over there. Try it out. Oh, okay, great. I didn't have any idea, right? We had a God that had that kind of relationship with us. Every step I needed to take, every development, every relationship, I could turn to God and say, God, give me instructions, guide me, so I can make the best decision. That I'm not just guessing at life, but I can make an informed decision that actually helps me and helps others. And God could have this communication. But eventually this relationship got disconnected. We started going, I know you said that pear's over there, but I'm going to go find something else, right? And God said, well, sure, but it's right there. If you want it, it's there. And that would sustain you. It'd be tasty, it's juicy. Go for it, right? But we say, oh, no, I'm going to figure out my own way. Right? I want to find my own happiness. I want to go my way, not your way. And we did it with this desire. I want independence, right? Every teenager has this little stage in life, whatever you tell them to do, they might say, okay, well, I'm going to go the other direction, right? Thanks for the advice, Mom. Later, I'm going to go somewhere else, right? I want to do it my way. I'm going to find my own happiness. Hey, I'm not trying to impose anything onto you, son. I think this would be better for your life. And you go, oh, well, great. Now that you said it, I'm going to do something else. And that's kind of how we were with God, right? He said, hey, I've got this plan. You just follow this. It's going to be really good for you. You're going to find new things. You're going to be so creative. You're going to be able to just be filled with love. I've got it lined up. Just follow these steps and come to me when you get confused. He said, well, we don't need to come to you. I'm going to make my own happiness. I want to do it my way. I want to have it right now, and I want to do it the way that I feel right now, right? I want to go my way. And that didn't always work, right? As much as we wanted to create happiness, we found ourselves hurting ourselves and hurting others, right? Has anybody been in that situation, right, in your life, and you go, hey, I've got a plan for my life. This is going to work out. I'm going to do what I want to do, and then you realize that your personal desire hurt yourself or hurt someone else. You go, oh, man, I really shot myself in the foot that time. That wasn't the direction I should have gone. And so eventually, though, people start coming together. We go, hey, I've got an idea. Let's make laws and rules. We'll govern people, hey, right? All these people before us, they were trying to live their life. They were trying to find happiness. They were creating their own gods and idols and their own pathways. But hey, let's make a rule book, right? We're going to make 500 plus laws. We're going to write them all down. We're going to govern every little thing. You know, how you should eat, what hand you got to eat with, what clothes you can wear, what clothes you can wear it with, what days of the week you can do this, and who you can interact with. And we're just going to write it all down. And this group of people had a good intention. Hey, we want people to be happy. We want them to live peacefully. We want love. We want prosperity. We want people to understand and be on the same page. So let's open this up. We're going to write it all out. We're going to plan it. But again, they did it their own way. They said, I think this will work for everybody. And because I think it'll work, and maybe it worked in my own family, I'm going to let everybody else know they have to do the same. So what works in my family, now I'm going to impose it on your family. And if you do exactly what my family does, well, I think it'll work out. But we kept breaking apart. Our world kept falling apart. Even the Jewish people that were supposedly being connected directly to God, they would write all these laws and then they'd constantly break them. They didn't work. They couldn't govern themselves. They couldn't guide themselves towards happiness. So people kept breaking them. So God sends a Savior to clean that up. To clean up ourselves. To say, hey, I see you've been trying to do it your own way for a long time, but we also know that it's not working. Let's be honest, right? It doesn't work when I just try and figure it out all on my own. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I don't have all the experience, and as much as I want to push myself and mold myself and fix myself, I just can't make it. So God sends a Messiah. Here, this is a path. This is how you can clean up your life. This is how you can guide your life. These are the things you ought to start doing. I'm going to forgive you for that other nonsense because you didn't have any idea what you were doing. I understand. You were immature. You were making guesses. I'm going to forgive that. I'm going to absolve you of that. I'm going to write it off to childhood shenanigans, and we're going to move forward. So the Messiah comes to cleanse us and to give us direction, to give us a path. When Jesus went ashore, it says he saw a large crowd and he felt compassion because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. Right, so he came to the shore. He looks around. He sees all these people gathered there. He goes, man, all these people, they have a good heart. They have a lot of love. They want to do good things, but they have no idea what direction to go. They're all wandering. Right? They don't even know how to feed themselves. They can't figure out where the grassy pasture is. They can't keep the wolves out. They can't figure out how to get to the next watering hole. He's looking at them and he goes, man, I've got to show up. I've got to take responsibility. I've got to guide these people. So he came with that heart of a shepherd. How can I feed? How can I teach? How can I reach? How can I care for and guide them? Keep them alive and move them forward into a new life. But the biggest thing he did was he reintroduced us to God. Right? What a big thing. It seems like a simple thing, but we all have a notion of God because we read books, right? Written by people that told us how to live with God. But he said, hey, I want to reintroduce you to this guy, and I want you to have a personal relationship with God. And when you have this personal relationship, it's going to clear up all that stuff you thought was the right way to live, all those man-made laws. You're going to clear that all out. You're going to start learning what real love is. You're going to start learning how to give to other people. You're going to start learning how to set goals that actually benefit yourself and others. You're going to learn how to prosper your family, how to protect your family, how to guide your family. So he came and he said, hey, our Father who art in heaven, meet this guy. He's going to teach you a lot of things. It's going to change your life. This was the role of the Messiah. He had intimate experiences with God. He said, he said, I am in the Father and the Father is in me. And when you connect with me, you're going to be in the Father just as well. He said, you're going to have that same experience. I want to introduce you to this relationship. It's going to change everything.
And you're going to stop having to struggle and stumble and fall and beat yourself up because you're trying so hard, but you just can't move it forward. You're pushing yourself so hard. You're reading all the books. You're working harder than everybody else, but you still can't move forward. It's because of this fundamental relationship or reconnection that he was offering to his people. And then he said about all these laws, he said, no. Don't worry about all these laws. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the other laws fall on these two. They're all summed up. Don't worry about all that other stuff. These are all man-made rules. Just relate with God. Connect with God as your heavenly parent. Connect with God directly, you and God. And then take that experience, that love, that relationship, and share it with others. When we're reintroduced with God, we don't need to worry about teaching a bunch of texts. We just need to understand who God's heart is, and God will guide us in our relationships. God will start calling out when you're about to say something you ought not say, when you're about to do something you don't need to be doing, when you're thinking about a next step and you're thinking, God, should I go this way? You know, the more intimate your relationship with God, the more time you spend in prayer, the more time you spend in meditation, God will be able to speak up into your life and say, yeah, go for that. Shoot for that goal. That's a really cool one. You're going to do some awesome stuff. Oh, no. Hold back. Don't go that direction. God is going to start speaking into your life. God is that shepherd that has been longing to guide us, been longing to teach us, has been wanting to fill up our vessel. Fill us with love and guide us forward. So when we think about our life, we think about the next steps we ought to take, the directions we need to start picking for our life. We need to understand, we need a Messiah. None of us are going to make it on our own. We don't have the intelligence, we don't have the creativity to figure out the best way of life. We look at this world around us and we see a world where everybody is fighting for their truth. Fighting to convey their truth, saying, hey, you've got to do you be you. You do you. That's the slogan, right? But you do you leaves a lot of broken hearts. You do you leaves a lot of people out of the picture. As we just strive for our own self-satisfaction, we find ourselves hurting and leaving others out. This isn't the world that God intended. This isn't the world that any of us desires, right? We want something better. We desire something better. And gosh darn it, we deserve something better. There's no reason we ought to live in a world where everybody is so self-centered that they can't see 2 feet across the table and the needs of someone else. And when we're so stuck in our own ways, we end up selling ourselves short, limiting ourselves. We're like in that little eggshell where we're so focused on what's inside of here that we're not realizing the interconnectedness, the happiness of all, the joys of all, the love of all, and how we can create that, how we can develop it, and how that sustains our own self. When we look at Father's teachings, what does he say? He says, you've got to live for the sake of others. Don't just live for yourself, but live for your family. And more than your family, live for your community. And then live for your nation and live for the world. And when you're living for the world, you know what? You're included in that vessel, right? And your needs are taken care of. Whatever you're working on, whether this is world peace or you're thinking about your business, you're thinking about something you want to start in your life, something you want to invest in, the broader scope you create, the more blessings you're going to start seeing in your life. And when we dare to include God into our dreams, we get the whole universe, right? We get everything. So we want to reconnect with God and realign ourselves. And so the Messiah comes to make straight that path, to open up that pathway. He paves the way. When I look at Jesus, I go, that's my big brother, and he did it. That's my big brother, and he took those steps. He confronted himself time and time again. He looked at the other opportunities, the other directions he could have gone, and then he said, no, this is the way that I will go, and he walked it. And in walking that path, he proved that it could be true, that true love could reign supreme, that we could have opportunity, that we could have peace, that we could have harmony, that we could create a better world. He paved a way when no one else believed. And he opened a door for each one of us to follow. And so I want to encourage us that this week that we sit in that and we come to Jesus and we say, I want to follow you. You were that filial son. You walked that path. You figured it out. And you showed me how to have a relationship with my Father, with my God. And from there, I'm going to move it forward and I'm going to walk with him as he followed true parents. And I'm going to go, hey, it's not only about my relationship with God, but what if I could make my marriage an offering to God? What if I could bring God into this? I was sharing yesterday at the wedding renewal vows about the cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. And when you look at your relationship and you think, hey, I'm in love with this person. We have this great relationship. And then you decide to intertwine it with God, the third cord. You wrap that around it. You get God involved in every part of your relationship. You look at your spouse. You look at that person with the eyes of God. You start speaking with the heart of God. And you wrap it around your 2 cords. That cord is not easily broken. Nothing destroys that relationship. So when we follow the Messiah, we're welcoming in this strength, this support, this protection to our lives. And we open up a guidebook that's already been written. We don't have to guess anymore. We don't have to make mistakes. We don't have to stumble across looking for a path. We just come and follow. And that following is opening up a door. And when we get to that door and kick it open, when we crack through that shell and open it up, we're going to look and we're going to have this new opportunity, this limitless freedom that we've always envisioned, that we've always hoped for. We could never make on our own, but together we're making it a reality. So let's welcome the Messiah in our life. Let us understand the need for it. And I want to pray that your blessings are just they're going to be magnified. They're going to be multiplied. Some great things are going to happen in your life because you're going to trust in something bigger than yourself. You're going to trust in a personal relationship with God. Let's invite God into our hearts now.